Theoretically, yes, but
No, it could be actually yes as well. You could just not hit me with the bagpipes. That would be great.
for the bit.
Yeah, but you could just not. I'm begging here. You could just don't. You could do it like once or twice, and then we could just
I'm
be done.
required at least for the first mention in the video.
It's gonna be like an
That's a
hour and a
legal
half.
obligation.
Okay. The first time is fine.
And then you know how you have to end the video, right? We do it with the bagpipe clip.
Okay, that's fine as well. The start and the end is fine,
Okay.
but this is gonna be
Okay, well,
this is gonna be a longer video, and we say their names so many times.
I'm not gonna do it every single time. I will do it a couple times throughout, but I will not do it every single time.
Okay, you better pick your times really damn well, because I say the name a lot, and it's gonna drive me insane if like every other sentence is just bagpipes.
I'm not gonna do it every other one. You're gonna feel them coming, and then they won't come, and then there's gonna be times when you don't think it's gonna happen, and then it's gonna happen though.
If I know it's coming guaranteed, I can plan around it. Like if it's a maybe, oh no. Okay, well, you know what? We're just gonna leave that in as the opening. I'm not even gonna try to come up with something funnier for that, because, oh god. This is made even worse by the fact that it's a new year, and this is the first video of the new year, and we're starting 2025 off the right way, with suffering and misery. So, you know, rile up the angry Scottish masses, grab the fattest keg of Tennant's Lager you can find, and gather the bagpipe firing squad, I guess. It's time for the Northwind Highlanders. No alcohol or... okay. I knew it was coming, and you didn't even let me finish my sentence. And I still got, even though I knew it was coming. Fucking hell, dude.
The one that we tell him's gonna be there.
Look, I'm incredibly stupid. Okay.
Next question.
Next. So, as for what we'll be covering, we're going over their history all the way back to pre-BattleTech time on Earth when they were just Scotland, how they became a famous mercenary army in the setting, why they're almost single-handedly responsible for keeping the Capellans afloat, and how they've managed to patent the art of burying people with mech-based flying dropkicks. Before we dive into the insanity that will no doubt be this video, introductions and well wishes. Generic greetings, I'm Cy, my co-host is Steve, the bagpipe gremlin. This is Science Insanity, a channel dedicated to bringing my love of turbo nerd garbage to all of you in all of its glory. I hope everybody had a wonderful Christmas and or Hanukkah and or food coma. I wish everyone the best for their New Year's resolution, for the week and a half that you stick to it, and I hope your 2025 starts off better than mine does. You know, I've only got hit by the bagpipes once, and I'm all ready to just skip to 2026.
Well, he's got him 7 days in. Got him bagpiped once, and he's done for the year.
Can you blame me?
No, I cannot.
Any fancy New Year's resolutions for you? Anything you want to say to the viewers?
Yeah, escape the basement a few more times.
Well, I'm gonna have to put a few extra padlocks on there then. We can't have you running around all willy-nilly. So, with introductions out of the way, let's get into things. Starting with the history. While officially formed in 2362 during the Age of War, the Northwind Highlanders trace their origins all the way back, like many things in BattleTech do, to old Earth pre-science fiction shenanigans. When they took to the stars to find a new world for themselves during the Great Exodus, they were a hodgepodge of civilians and military personnel remnants from Scotland's last independent regiments. Not as significant or relevant, but interesting is that they were also almost entirely from the Scottish Highlands, which I did not know until this episode, but are actually like 70% of Scotland. The vast majority of the country is extremely rocky, mountainous fields. Like, it's beautiful, but, you know, it's extremely rainy, permanently misty, piss cold most of the time, and... Wait, no, hang on, it's not a... Did I call it a country? It's not a country, that's my... I'm sure they wish they were.
Leave it in, leave it in.
It's fine. They wish they were, but they're not. We can leave that as a... We can treat it like it was an insult rather than a fumble. So the lowlands are like this thin-ish band where all the farming and the big cities are, which makes sense since the rest of the highlands, it's just all sheep and sadness. Those are the only things that can survive in the rest of Scotland. This group didn't have to go far from Earth, however. When they left, only like 2 jumps out, they stumbled upon what, depending on your opinion, is either paradise or hell. The world of Northwind, also known as Really Big Scotland and Nothing But the Scottish Highlands, because it is just nothing but that. It's one of those beautiful sci-fi magic worlds where the entire thing is a single magic biome that stretches across the whole planet, is somehow 3 continents: New Lanark, Kearney, and Halidon.
I don't know how anybody lives there, man. It's gonna give me a fucking nightmare tonight just thinking of Scotland, the planet.
Imagine nothing but groundskeeper Willie as well. That's the whole population. Dear God.
Oh, Willie.
It also has 2 moons named Dublin and Glasgow, which I found really funny because Dublin is a city in Ireland, not Scotland, as far as I know. So
you would know correct.
Yeah,
as far as I know.
little bit incorrect there, but you know what? Whatever. They're close enough. Scots and Irish are 2 peas in a pod.
Close enough for government work.
One is happy drunks. One are angry drunks. Which one is which? You guys figure it out.
One is blowing up cars. The other is I don't even know, playing bagpipes. 2 different types of music.
Both of them have had their issue with the British, so, you know, same old, same old. But onto this world, the wayward Scotsman landed around 2270, establishing the first city/mining outpost of Kearney, which later became the name of the continent it was founded on. The very, very early parts of Northwind's history are extremely barren, just like the planet. Essentially from the year when Northwind was first seriously colonized to the era where any actual conflicts or the Age of War started was almost like 100 years. The entire time, the people of Northwind were expanding across the planet and further exploiting its rich mineral wealth as they terraformed it further. Terraforming essentially just being, well, planting a shitload of trees and stalking many, many native earth animals. Of course, all good times must come to an end, and in 2362, as a response to rising tensions and pirate activity, the first Kearney Highlanders were formed and set about murdering anyone who'd try to take what was theirs. The early success of this unit, combined with the rapidly exploding tensions across the region, meant that the need for soldiers was getting even greater. Like I was attempting to say, at first this just meant that the world of Northwind needed more dudes, and a few years after the first, the second and third Kearney Highlanders were similarly formed. Of course, despite originally being the standing army of Northwind directly, like they were just there to protect the planet, when they looked around and saw the nascent Capellans, Free Worlds League, and Fed Sons killing each other and burning stuff down and fighting stupid wars over literally barren worlds, they figured, galactic brawl's as good as one in a bar, and immediately dove in, fists swinging and curses flying. Selling their forces out as mercenaries, the 3 Kearney regiments rapidly made a name for themselves, because even before battle mechs, the sound of bagpipes coming from over yonder, followed by an armored charge of pissed off Scots, was a, frankly, terrifying thing to deal with.
Live representation of said bagpipes. I mean, personally, I would be scared too. I wouldn't want that noise coming at me.
We're going to be getting to that later, don't worry. There's a really hilarious part in the tactics section where it's just nothing but bagpipes. It's the entire segment.
Idea for the segment. You just say tactics, and then I just play bagpipes for like 30 seconds, and then you just loop it for like a minute.
No, that would be so annoying for everyone watching. That would be so annoying for... I would have to listen to that and edit that. No!
How about I play it for 15 seconds, and then we just move on to the next topic?
It's like a 2-second thing. You'd have to play it like 10... No, stop. Stop. Moving on. Continuing on with wherever we were, because you destroyed my flow again. Pretty fast they made a name for themselves as an effective, consistent, and most importantly, affordable mercenary unit, because while the various Highlanders were fantastic in a fight, they were also dirt cheap by comparison to most other units on the market. Especially for the Capellans, who even right at the start of the setting, were already the sick man barely holding on and getting beaten up behind the school. Dear God, the amount of heavy lifting that the Northwind Highlanders did is insane. I didn't realize how much the Capellans owe their existence to this one mercenary unit.
So what you're saying is the Highlanders should never have existed, therefore we wouldn't have to deal with Capellan.
Oh, don't worry. There is a really funny betrayal later on, and the Capellans get absolutely schwacked. Yeah, it's rather entertaining. The various regiments produced from Northwind then spend the next 100 years or so kicking ass and taking names, but one of their most important achievements is that despite literally drowning in Capellan filth, they became known as one of the most loyal, uncorruptible mercenary units in the Inner Sphere. Even against impossible odds, even when offered a better deal, they'd never turn traitor and always fight on to the bitter end. Even when they lost battles, they would usually fight until grievous casualties were suffered by whatever units they had, and they were basically forced to pull back by whoever was employing them. They became so infamous that they were essentially rolled into the Capellan Confederation Armed Forces proper, not only fighting alongside regular CCAF units, but sent out to hunt down traitors and deserters who thought they could A, skip out on their contracts, or B, work for somebody else after their contract ended. Though during the age of the SLDF, Big Daddy Star League basically went, lol, no, these guys are fantastic, so they're mine now. And so the Highlanders spent some time working for a way better employer than the Cappies. They were such good mech warriors that not only did the regular Northwind units serve in the SLDF and fight on the front lines of many conflicts, but the very best of them were recruited to royal regiments, specifically the Black Watch, the honor guard for the First Lord himself, also known as Space King. And I don't think you really understand, like, the weight of that, because the Black Watch are arguably the single best fighting force in the setting. Like, you stack them up against anything else normally, and they crush. You stack them up against even, like, the clan head menace at their prime with the best they got, and they're using old SLDF stuff. The Black Watch would still probably crush. I mean, then again, clanners aren't exactly a very high bar to clear, so maybe we can leave that one out.
Pretty low, actually. I mean...
Well, every single one of them does have a soup can-sized dent in their head, at the very least, sometimes several, so they'd probably be relatively easy to deal with once they actually got into combat and they weren't trying to snipe you from half a continent away.
Yeah, you just gotta watch out for them soup stock cans, though.
The hyper-velocity Kerensky soup stock delivery via Gauss rifle directly to the enemy's waiting mouths. Delicious clanner style. Also, while most of the Black Watch went with Kerensky and became part of the clans eventually during the big nope out of the Inner Sphere, a lot of them just went back to Northwind and started teaching the culture and history of the Black Watch to the Highlanders, which resulted, once again, in the funniest shit ever, since not only were the clan homeworlds invaded by the Star League of all things, but the Black Watch was there leading the charge, which is a mindfuck and a half, because firstly, the clans invaded to, you know, bring about the Second Star League, so to see the Star League burning down their home was probably a bit of a what the fuck, but they also venerated the Black Watch quite a bit, and to see them leading the charge is, oh, hold on, what mirror universe garbage did we find ourselves in? Did we pull a Star Trek? What reality is this? So when the Succession Wars kicked off, because Kurita is everything wrong with everything, the Highlanders were essentially an entire frontline unto themselves. Northwind is pretty close to the tippy top of Capellan space, and as such, they're within a few jumps of literally every other great house. Constantly, and I do mean constantly at this point, like 6 regiments operating out of Northwind are just bouncing around from world to world at lightning pace, protecting the Northern Capellan Confederation. The Purple Bird is getting uppity on the border and invaded a world or something. The Highlanders rush over to kick them in the dick like they deserve. The Draconis Combine is raiding border worlds, Uno reverse. Their raiders are murdered, their staging grounds burned to dirt, and then they have their high officials and officers captured as well, which I think the Highlanders were responsible for the first ever Kuritan officer captured by the Capellan Confederation. And against the ultimate enemy of the Fed Sons, you know, the faction that's constantly just taking bites out of the Capellans, literally the only reason the entire north part of the Combine still exists, not the Combine, the Confederation still exists, is because the Highlanders have been playing goalie for like 400 years. And I want to be clear, like, that isn't hyperbole where the Highlanders were around all over the place. No, they showed up in force. Sometimes for entire worlds, everything the Capellans had fighting force-wise that wasn't like militia was various Northwind regiments. They were like the only people there that stopped the planet from getting absolutely mogged. The first Kearney was all over the place, resisting planetary invasions and stopping raids for like 300 years. The third Kearney, hilariously enough, was in constant warfare as well, but for some reason at the end of it was recorded to be at 110% combat strength, which means that instead of taking losses each time...
Seems about right.
Yeah, they would come out of every fight stronger than they went into it, which is, it's like they head off to war and come back with more mechs and dudes than they left with, that like World War I meme or something. Not to mention there are plenty of random tidbits of inter-regiment rivalries, like McLeod's and I think Marion's Highlanders constantly at each other's throats. One of them refuses...
Yo, I know how they did it. They gave everybody earplugs so they didn't have to hear the bagpipes.
Bagpipes are mandatory when you're with the Highlanders. You can't get away from it.
Did you say mandatory?
Stop. The pure glee in your voice when you said mandatory gave it away. That was the happiest I've ever heard you sound. Maybe. God damn it.
Oh.
The last thing about the regiments, Sterling's Fusiliers are my favorite because canonically they have an entire corps of their regiment that's just dedicated to music. Like every single regiment has musicians and stuff because they need bagpipes, but these guys have special battle musicians that their only job is to just ride along with the forces, constantly playing music and dancing. So, you know, after their battles and after they've beaten the shit out of an enemy, they torture their prisoners with a massive celebratory band of bagpipes and traditional Scottish dance. Because tormenting a man's eternal soul isn't technically a war crime.
They take the party with them. I mean, it's
Oh, dude, when you're with the
a
Highlanders,
party for somebody.
the party never ends. Mr. Bones' wild ride, you can't get off. There's no
Yeah, the
off
flasks
switch.
in the cockpit.
They probably
drinking
do.
on-
They
Oh,
drink
God.
extremely heavily.
Historically accurate.
Basically, all the ancient culture of Scotland went with them when they went off into the stars, including the rampant alcoholism. It's fine, they're just built different, they can handle it. They got extra powerful kidneys. The Northwind Highlanders were pretty much single-handedly responsible for a good quarter of the Combine's effective defense once it got on in years, you know, like the 4th, 5th Succession War kind of thing, and mostly hung around the north end of Capellan space. But at the conclusion of the 4th Succession War, the rest of the Great Houses, specifically the Fed Sons and House Davion, were just kind of done with these Scottish bastards. Like, they're dancing all over the place with their man skirts, they're playing their horrendous gas bags they call instruments, they're just being utterly uncorruptible, you know, just, they're not playing the game, they're not acting like mercenaries, they're just done with them, okay? The only loyal people in all of Capellan space, and they have to be the best warriors that they have. God damn it.
Maybe if they weren't the Capellans, you know, they would be better at it, though. I mean,
Yeah.
they brought this upon themselves.
Oh, they did. Oh, it gets funnier as time goes on. But a plan started to come together where the Fed Sons took a long, hard look at how the Highlanders actually operate. You see, despite being paid a king's ransom by the Capellans, they did most of their recruiting from their homeworld, Northwind. Sure, they occasionally got other mech warriors fresh out of, like, Capellan military academies or mercenaries that would travel there to join up for easy fights and stuff and riches, but for the most part, they formed, trained, and created their regiments and stuff on Northwind itself. That was the training ground for their entire operation. So when the inevitable 4th round happened, the Fed Sons and Free Worlds League coordinated their offensives. Or more accurately, okay, they didn't really coordinate. It was more that the Free Worlds League and the Capellans got into a stupid slap fight over the same 3 border worlds for like the 5th time, and while the Capellans were distracted, the Fed Sons got to work, YOLOing a massive invasion pretty much across the entire front line, and a huge contingent of their dudes landed on Northwind itself while the rest of the Highlanders were tied down all over the place, obliterating the untrained defenders and taking over the world decisively. So they now control Northwind the planet, which is a massive bargaining chip and a huge problem for the Highlanders' operations. Even in spite of this though, because the Highlanders ain't no bitch, upon learning about the loss of their homeworld, all that the Fed Sons got was a heavy Scottish sigh, a single manly tear, and the response that yeah, it do be like that sometimes. And they still refused to break off with the Capellans after the Capellans failed to protect their world. Despite that though, you know, still remain loyal.
Probably because they expected it from the Capellans, if we're being honest. I mean,
Yeah, but like again, why? Who knows? They stayed with the Capellans up to this point because
they were too drunk. They didn't know what they were doing.
Well, it's more like ma honor, ma dignity, all of these things that a good mercenary can't afford to have, but whatever. Their loyalty was, however, finally broken during the Homecoming a few years later. Essentially, the entire point of the Fed Sons' invasion of Northwind was to use it as a bargaining chip. Before the 5th Succession War, I believe, the Fed Sons and the Lyran Commonwealth did everything they could to weaken the other great houses, and one of the big ones was depriving them of all possible mercenaries. The Capellans got hit really hard by this, since they rely on mercs more than any other faction, but the real sting was when the Fed Sons basically went to the orphaned Highlander units and said, hey, you guys want your homeworld back? We'll just give it to you. And the deal was essentially break the contract with the Capellans. Don't fight them or anything. We're not asking you to fight with us. Just take all of your stuff and go back to Northwind, which is now under our control in our space, and do whatever you want. Pay your taxes. You're part of the Federated Sons now, and that's about it. And if they do that, they just get the whole world back for free. Nothing, no other hang-ups, no other conditions, no sneaky betrayal. You just get your shit back. And what do you think they decided to do?
No.
No, they actually agreed this time. Probably because this time around they looked out the window, saw the Confederation literally burning to death around them, and went, hey, the ship is about to sink. Maybe we should make like rats and escape it before we go down with it.
They found the life raft with Rose on it.
Exactly. The Capellans were understandably not happy about this, literally left in the lurch by one of their most powerful units, one that had been responsible for safeguarding their northern borders, which coincidentally, the North is also the part that got entirely eaten by the FedCom alliance, like just gone. Half of the Capellan state got yoinked, so, kind of a bit of an incredible betrayal at the 11th hour.
I mean, they deserved it.
Well, of course they did, but that doesn't mean it's not funny to laugh at them about it. So the history of the Northwind Highlanders continues on for like another 200 years, well past the clan invasion, but we aren't really going to be talking much about it though, since the Jihad era, HPG blackout, Republic of the Sphere, what the fuck is going on there? So we're just not going to touch it. Suffice to say, they actually didn't do much during that time, surprisingly, because the word of Blake, those religious fanatic offshoots of Comcast that, launched the jihad across the galaxy, they looked at the Highlanders and went, fuck that, we just don't want to deal with you. You guys are insane and really, really annoying. And so after tricking all of their forces back onto Northwind, they just blockaded all of the Scots onto Big Scotland, and they just said, okay, just stay there, don't leave. You're just gonna sit on this planet and do nothing for however long we're here. So for like 10 years, the Word of Blake just dedicated a shitload of orbital resources to keeping them locked up on Northwind. Didn't even bother to fight them as well, probably because all the bagpipes would have driven them insane.
Very, very fair reason not to fight them. I mean...
Yeah. The Highlanders were also really, really pissed by this for the funniest of reasons. They were like, oh, fuck yeah, jihad, restart of the succession wars, there's money to be made. Let's go kill people and blast bagpipes, boys. And then they just got locked up on this planet. So they were super, super pissed about it. Like, I can just imagine them, like, proverbially sitting down on the side of their bed like they're in timeout, just staring at the wall, real angry. And they're just like, this is bullshit. I just can't fucking go out there and kill people. Took my bagpipes from me, bastards. Like, just real angry timeout energy.
You know what? They deserved it too for having to make everyone listen to bagpipes all the time.
But with the general history explained, like I said, let's talk about their battle tactics and culture, starting with their tactics, because it is fucking hilarious and painful in equal measure. This is one of those things that before doing any research for this video, I peripherally kind of knew about, like, oh yeah, the aggressively Scottish guys use bagpipes, sure, whatever, that makes sense, but I didn't understand the depths of depravity that this sinks to, Steve. I didn't understand how deep the rot goes. Like, it's absolutely insane. So during the Highlander video forever ago, where the meme of the bagpipes spawned, we kind of touched on it, and that's canon and stuff, but before we talk about the compositions or anything, every single Northwind regiment, canonically, at all times, are blasting bagpipe music as loud as they possibly can. Literally, from the moment they touch down on a world, they are filling every open radio frequency with screeching bagpipes. They are blasting bagpipes from their mech's war horns every single time they do anything. If this motherfucker is shooting you, if he's running around, if he's reloading, that's a bagpiping. If he's running over to punch you, if he's retreating, if he's just signaling his allies, that's a bagpiping. And it even goes so far that most of their armored vehicles, like their tanks and their APCs and their infantry fighting vehicles, they attach ginormous fuck-off armored speakers onto the goddamn things so that they can play bagpipe music as well. They're just constantly, all the time. It's like a rendition of Ride of the Valkyries with bagpipes from their fucking helicopters or some shit. Like, it's omnipresent. It never ends. You can't get away from it. And it's a legitimate tactic as well, because battles in, like, actual fights in BattleTech, big ones, can last anywhere from a few hours to days at a time. Could you fucking imagine that? If I had to deal with days of bagpipe music alongside fighting these fuckers, I'd probably just shoot myself. So fair enough, fair play to the Highlanders, I guess.
I mean, we could always make it not have it to imagine that.
I possess no firearms. I am in Canada.
I can make you suffer.
Stop. I haven't said the word recently. You're not allowed to do it. I think my favorite part about this is that it doesn't just stop there. Like, it just keeps going. So every regiment has the universal tactic of the bagpipe, right? And if that's not working, apply more bagpipe. And if that's not working, then see previous. It doesn't stop at the combat stuff, though, because apparently there's some fucking Scottish magic going on here. Because remember how I said some units have, like, you know, musician corps and stuff attached to them or whatever, right? Yeah, well, I lied. All regiments have a band. Only some of them have, like, a specific dedicated band, but all of them have one. The only thing is they're dual purpose. The medical staff for most of the Highlanders are also the bagpipe corps, which means that the dude responsible for suturing up your wounds in the middle of a fight is blasting bagpipe. What the fuck is the point of this? What Scottish sorcery is this? Does the sound of bagpipes stitch their wounds back together supernaturally or something? Does it unmelt mech armor? Does it just conjure ammo out of thin air? Who the fuck decided that your doctor was going to be playing the bagpipe in the middle of combat? What the fuck is the point of... Why?
Are actually magical. So, you see, they just fix everything. It's like the wave of a wand. You know, it just solves all the issues.
They don't have funerals. They just line up a pentagram of bagpipe players, and these fuckers get right back up where they fell.
They've been resurrected, right? The sound of bagpipes has drawn them back to life.
It acts as their anchor for the underworld. It draws their soul back to the land of the living. Okay, so escaping the bagpipes a little bit, let's talk about some of their actual battlefield tactics. Now, again, the Highlanders are extremely diverse, and every single regiment will fight in a slightly different or vastly different way, especially since their gear tends to be very different between them, but again, there are a few similarities. The most notable similarity between all of them is their mech composition. Now, this is more of a consequence of being allies with the Capellans for so long, and since everybody hates the Capellans, and Capellan industry is about on par with a bombed-out ruin at the best of times, for the most part, the Highlanders are a medium-weight mech force. They rely on a ton of light and medium mechs, more towards the medium end of things, and they bulk out their more heavy assault or command lances with big, powerful, heavy and assault mechs, the same way that the Capellans do. Unlike the Capellans, though, which trend towards lots of very easily replaceable mechs, the Highlanders have a preference for the big, the funky, the powerful, and the irreplaceable. Just like their namesake would suggest, the Northwind Highlanders make great use of the Highlander assault mech itself, but they also enjoy such fine samples as the Battlemaster, the Atlas, the Awesome, and other big classic assault mechs from the Star League era. When it comes to actual combat, the way that they operate is very much a shock and awe force-to-forehead style of warfare. They prefer to maneuver, they skirmish, they find out where the enemy is, just like most forces will do, but then once they figure out where the enemy is, they love to simply engage upon all fronts. They'll use that horde of medium and light mechs to pin the enemy down, engage them in combat, blasting bagpipes as they go, because dear god, why wouldn't they? And then, once they've identified a weakness in the enemy line, or somewhere important that they can strike, they smash literally everything they have from their heavier units, including their tanks and their reserves, directly into that weakness. And they don't just do it by running at them, oh no, the Highlanders love shock and awe. That is their number one thing. Similar to how America will just rock up with 5 million aircraft and bomb you into the Stone Age, when the Highlanders show up, the bagpipes are so loud you can't even hear yourself thinking, and their mechs are flying at you with all the speed of a pissed-off Scotsman. The Highlanders do tend to take a lot of damage doing this, though, don't get me wrong, they're not immune to return fire, but the speed that they move and the ferocity that they strike, especially with the fact that they really like the death from above maneuver, they tend to smash the front lines of enemy forces very quickly, and before they can recover or before they can mount an adequate defense, the Highlanders have already smashed right through into their rear lines and are starting to roll up the flanks of other formations and units. Because once again, as silly as it sounds to just break an enemy like that, a really big part of the Northwind Highlanders is that classic Scottish mentality from Highlander where I have a very big sword and I'm going to split you in half with it as I come running down the hill screaming, wearing nothing but a kilt. They're basically channeling, like, that mentality of warfare, right? The Northwind Highlanders in general are just a giant walking stereotype of, well, the meme of Scotland, but it turns out it's actually surprisingly effective when you do a similar tactic with a multi-story tall, 100-ton mech. So the Northwind Highlanders are really, really, really good at super aggressive line-breaking maneuvers that can just smash an enemy's front line apart in a single blow. They are also, surprisingly, really, really, really good at defensive battles, although I don't know if it's as much as their tactics, and more the fact that in most of the stories with the Highlanders and most of the, well, I say most of the battles where they lose, the few battles where they lose, the Highlanders are basically just dying to the last man, and they are fighting absolutely furiously. So it's one of those situations where I don't think they're good at defensive battles because they're like masters of siegecraft or something. I think they're really good at defensive battles because they just won't fucking stop fighting and they won't fucking die whenever you're trying to kill them. Which, you know, I guess in and of itself kind of does make them a master of siegecraft. Not important. And now, let's talk about their government and stuff, because this is going to be the shortest segment at the end here, but I think it's pretty interesting because, once again, it's just a meme of Scotland. Northwind itself is ruled by a clan, not a clan, a conclave council. Well, we're just going to call them a council. They're ruled by a council of elders. Essentially, all the various clans that make up the families and cities and population of Northwind each elect an elder. Normally, this is an old-ass person who, not the oldest, but, you know, the oldest respected member that they trust to lead them, but sometimes they can be much younger, and it depends basically on just what the individual clan wants, and there's some varying traditions there. But essentially, these clan elders have absolute control over Northwind itself. Policy, taxes, industry, how the planets run, what they're doing, what the overall political stance of the planet may be, they control all of that. And in order for anything to happen, the council has to agree unanimously that a decision has been made. They don't necessarily have to agree unanimously, but they do have to agree that a decision has been made. So, like, let's say it's like 5 versus 2 on a council of 7, right? Well, everyone agrees, okay, well, we've come to a decision, that's fine, that's the path we'll take forward, but those last 2 guys are like, okay, listen up, you shits. When everything goes horribly wrong, we're gonna stand here and say, I told you so, and we're gonna laugh at you, and we're gonna do all those really annoying things to make you look like an idiot, alright? Okay, fine, fair enough. When it comes to the actual Northwind Highlanders, though, this is quite a bit different, because it's like a unified mercenary and then civilian government. Now, each individual regiment, once they're off of Northwind, doesn't actually answer to the elders or the people that are there. They follow their commander the same way that any mercenary unit would, and that commander is in complete control of pretty much everything. Finances, unit deployments, contracts, all of that. However, for the most part, there are some fringe examples, but for the most part, the various Northwind regiments are loyal to their elders and they follow their orders when important matters come up. And again, since the Northwind Highlanders are essentially just a giant walking stereotype of Scotland, it's not exactly... how do I explain this? There's very few situations where they go against each other. Clan loyalty and respect is massive for their culture, and they care about that and their planet more than basically anything else, so there's not really that much sedition or treachery going on there. Also, random tidbit on the side, because I think it's funny, the official uniform of the Northwind Highlanders, the thing that every person needs to wear, is a kilt, a dress shirt, and a war sash. That classic big red or blue or green or whatever sash across their chest. So aggressively Scottish.
I mean, they're fully committed. I mean,
yeah. They also, not only do they have their own house flags and stuff, not only do they have a flag for their own world and all of that, but the Northwind Highlanders also carry the flag of Scotland around with them at all times. Every single regiment all over the planet It's like a heritage thing, so it literally is just big Scotland. The fucking flag is all over the place as well. You can't escape it. No matter how far you run, it'll find you.
So we have two choices for the video title. One of them, I don't remember what it was, but I pointed out that was the video title. And then the second option is Scotland, the planet.
I think it was the meme of Scotland or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was it.
BattleTech, the meme of Scotland. Oh man, did you see the first image I posted, by the way? That's another fun tidbit, is the mechs don't wear kilts, but it's pretty fucking close because they paint plaid on all of their mechs. Which is the most annoying. I tried to paint plaid once on a mini, like just to go the extra mile to make it
never again. Never again.
Yeah, I was like, there's no fucking universe. How the fuck could anybody do this? It is the most frustrating thing in I hate it. I just hate it. I don't understand how anyone could do it in real life in the fictional setting of BattleTech. I don't understand how anybody could do it in real life painting minis. And I don't understand how anybody could ever want to wear plaid. It's so horrendously ugly.
I mean, some people can make it look good. Don't get me wrong. Some people can.
Yeah, that's true. I guess lumberjacks can make it look good. I don't think kilts look good. I'm gonna get so much hate mail for this video.
I do not share his opinion on kilts, so,
Your punishment is being forced to wear the man skirt. Now put it on, you bastard!
They have great built-in air conditioning, that's all I know.
Anyways, though, that is pretty much it. There's not much else to talk about unless you want to get into the real nitty-gritty of the timeline or get into the super details of some of the individual regiments.
So if y'all want that, reply in the comments and we'll make Sai write a script for it.
But yeah, the video is pretty much over at this point. I have nothing else to say. We're going to do the outro now. Anything you want to say before we get on with it, Steve?
The only thing I have to add is...
Doing the actual outro now. If you've made it this far in the video, you clearly found it entertaining, or you clearly enjoy the content, so why not leave a like, subscribe, comment down below, do all of the things that help out with the YouTube algorithm, and make sure to ring the bell button so you'll be notified of whenever we release stuff in the future. That Death Corps of Krieg video still isn't out because I got waylaid for like 3 weeks over Christmas. That's probably going to be the next thing that comes out, so, you know, if you're interested in some 40k stuff, that'll be coming down the pipeline as well. To the people that are already supporting the channel, a huge thanks to our Patreons, the arms dealers going above and beyond to get all the tools, toys, and stuff you saw in today's video. How they managed to run away with so many bagpipes and so many Highlanders from the well, Highlanders, I'll never know, but I thank you, and I mourn the loss of your hearing. To the food merchants, making sure that my co-host is ever fed and available for these videos, thank you as well. And to the coffee vendors, making sure that the war on sleep is ever profitable, and that one day I shall never sleep again, thanks to you guys as well. With a huge thanks to the new guys who've recently joined. Mayboro, and Phoenix Flames.
And add the extra guy in that's undoubtedly going to join in between the recording of this video and the posting.
Oh, yeah, him as well. Thanks for reminding me. And with that, the video's pretty much over. I got nothing else to say, and unless Steve wants to intervene once again, that's it. Outros are hard. Goodbye. I fucking knew the last thing you would do was a bagpipe. I fucking knew it.